Unlike the world of phones where camera innovation and improvements seem to happen every other day, some of the latest phones can shoot up to 8K video, for example. Webcams have been left in the Stone Ages for a long time. Well, that's beginning to change now with cameras like this, the Facecam Pro from Elgato, a 4K 60fps webcam that's got its sights firmly set on the world of DSLRs.
Unleash the power of RTX 4080 Super with superior liquid cooling.
Hi guys, I'm Matt and welcome to Kit Guru. So the Facecam Pro is, as I mentioned, a webcam from Elgato obviously, but it's capable of capturing video at up to 4K 60fps. That in itself is a pretty big deal. That FPS at that resolution is usually reserved for DSLR cameras and then phones and stuff like that. In fact, back when the Facecam Pro launched, it was the first 4K 60 webcam in the world. Fast forward to today, because it launched last year sometime, and there are still only a handful of webcams capable of capturing 4K at 60 frames a second. Most of them are limited to 30 frames. Now, these sort of specs are overkill for Zoom meetings, as most virtual meeting applications, Zoom and Google Meet and that sort of stuff, most of those compress your camera, so it's pointless having it. So, as is to be expected from Elgato, the target for this product is content creators and streamers. I'm going to compare this camera to some others and see how it performs when coming up against a variety of different price points and resolutions. Before we get stuck into the webcam battle though, let's quickly run through the full specs and the price of the Facecam Pro. It supports 720p, 1080p and 4K, all at both 30 and 60 frames per second. It's got both fixed and manual focus, something which was missing from the original Elgato Facecam. It's got an f2.0 aperture, which should allow for some nice bokeh and shallow depth of field in the background. That's the soft background blur that you see in like portrait mode on your phone. But unlike your phone, this is the lens creating the blur instead of an algorithm and computational photography and post-processing. The field of view is 90 degrees, which is really quite wide, and it will allow for a lot of your room to be captured, for example. It's got a 21mm focal length, and the Facecam Pro contains a Sony Starvis CMOS sensor. Then finally, the Facecam Pro, it connects to your PC with a USB-C cable, and Elgato include a cable. It's good quality, it's 1.8 meters long, so you've got a bit of freedom of where you want to place the camera. The speed of the USB-C connection helps with the large amounts of data that need to be transmitted from the camera to your PC quickly when capturing at 4K 60 frames. So the spec sheet reads much like that of a fully fledged DSLR, and the price is pushing towards that sort of level 2 to the entry level sort of range of a camera. The Facecam Pro is going to set you back 300 quid. And one thing that's missing, just like the standard Elgato Facecam, is a microphone. The Facecam Pro doesn't have any way of capturing audio. The thinking, I think, from Elgato must have been that the target audience, streamers and content creators, will already have a dedicated mic and won't need one. Which I haven't got a problem with that, to be honest, and I agree with it. And anyway, built-in camera mics sound awful 99% of the time. So rather than them stick a rubbish mic on the camera just for the sake of putting it on the spec sheet, I'm glad that they just left it out and focused on delivering a camera that can perform. Or can it perform? We'll see later in the video. The camera itself is a chunky black box. It's 116mm wide, 38mm high and 79mm deep. It's on the heavier side of things for a webcam too, weighing 240 grams without the mount. Speaking of that mount, it can either be mounted on top of a monitor with the mount that's included, but it does also have a 1/4 inch thread on the bottom for attaching it to stands and clamps. And I've had it mounted on a super clamp attached to a light stand behind my monitor for a bit, to be fair. I did move it to do the camera comparison because I needed the room, but most of the time I've had it on that super clamp so I can position it wherever I want. It's really versatile. The rear section of the Facecam Pro contains some venting for keeping the camera cool while it's in operation. And then there's some Elgato branding on the top and the right hand side, alongside some details of the camera specs on the front. There's no privacy filter included in the box, but it does have an activity LED, so you can easily see if the camera's being accessed by a piece of software. And then finally, before we move on to the comparisons, let's talk about the software. Software is one of Elgato's strong points in my opinion. Their software is usually great, and it takes the experience of using their hardware up a level. The software used for configuring the Facecam Pro is called Camera Hub, and in short, it's great. I was not surprised to find it great. It's Elgato. Their software is usually good. The main camera tab has controls for everything you'd want, split into 6 sections. Frame, which contains controls for zooming, panning and tilting, along with 4 presets you can quickly switch between. That's great for some ridiculously close-up face shots when things get a bit tense if you're streaming. Focus contains, unsurprisingly, settings related to the focus of the Facecam Pro, either automatic or manual, like I mentioned earlier, with presets for different distances. Picture has adjustments for contrast and saturation. Exposure's got sliders for shutter speed and ISO, as well as having a toggle for automatic mode. If you run the camera with automatic exposure settings, then the ISO control will change to a compensation for adjusting exposure only when you're in that mode, so you can just counteract if your lights are really bright and whatnot. White balance also contains both manual and automatic modes, allowing you to precisely set the temperature of the image or let the camera do what it thinks is best. Then finally, processing, which lets you switch the anti-flicker setting of the camera between 50 and 60 Hz for dealing with stuff like light flicker from like LED strips and stuff like that. Then you've got the effects tab at the top. That's relatively simple. It contains toggles for mirroring and flipping the image displayed by the camera in OBS or wherever. And then some AI background and AR effects stuff. But to use those latter 2 options, you're going to need to download some additional SDKs from NVIDIA, the same way you do for adding NVIDIA noise removal to Wavelength, for example. Finally, you can save all of the settings you configure in Camera Hub directly to the camera itself, and you can run the Facecam Pro without having the software running if you want to. Overall, the level of control you've got on this camera is second to none. It's approaching DSLR levels, and you can really dial in settings to suit your lighting, environment and setup. The software itself is easy to use, just like every other piece of software I've ever tried from Elgato. They really have this software thing nailed down. If you're looking for a new chair, then you should definitely check out Booley's. I'm currently sat on their Ninja Pro gaming chair, which is one of 3 models from their gaming series alongside the Elite and the Master. So if you're looking for something new to stick in your setup that you can sit on and game and work, then I recommend definitely checking out boolies.co.uk. So let's dive into some comparisons then. I have 5 different cameras here at 5 different price points. First, we have a 720p webcam that I've had for years, the Microsoft LifeCam HD 3000, a truly terrible webcam by today's standards if I'm honest. It's old, it originally released back in 2010, and it's as cheap as chips. You can pick up a refurbished one from CEX for a £5. Next is the Streamplify Cam, a 1080p 60fps camera that costs about 50 quid. It's a nice entry-level device that Andy reviewed on the channel a while ago. Then we've got, of course, the focus of this video, the Facecam Pro. Again, it's 300 quid and supports up to 4K 60. And then we're going to move up to a dedicated camera. We've got the Sony ZV-1, the camera with which I created all of my content for Kit Guru for the first year or so of me being here. Picking one of these up new will set you back about 650 quid. It is a 4K camera, but it only supports up to 30 FPS. Then finally, I'm going to throw my phone into the mix. The Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra running Droid Cam X. Pretty much everyone's got a phone, and you can pick up that app for about a £5 on the Play Store. If you're on an Apple device, then you've got the option of running Elgato's own Epoch Cam app to achieve the same thing. Elgato, please hurry up and get Epoch Cam back on Android because I really like it and it's not available on there at the moment. Now, before we dive into the cameras on screen, a quick word on lighting. It is the most important thing to make any camera look good. A cheap camera with good lighting will go a long way, arguably further than an expensive camera with crap lighting. I'll be keeping the lighting the same throughout the whole of the comparisons. I've got a Streamplify Glow Light 14 above me on the back of the desk. And then I've got 2 newer LED lights on either side of me. One set to full power and one slightly lower to give a bit of balance and create a bit of 3-point lighting that I've spoke about in previous videos. So here we have the 5 different cameras I just mentioned, all on the screen at the same time for you to cast your eyes over. I haven't done any tweaks or anything at all. This is all the default settings. As you can tell by the Streamplify cam, absolutely blowing out the exposure and making me look like a snowman. But I'll run through quickly now, adjust the settings a little bit and get it to suit the light that I've got, and then get them looking as good as I can, and then we'll come back and look at them again. Then we'll go through them one at a time and look at them blown up full screen, because obviously they're shrunk down at the moment. That's going to affect the quality a little bit. So with the magic of editing, 1, 2, 3, boom, and we are back, and I've done a few edits and tweaked some of the settings and some of the cameras. I've rescued the Streamplify cam from absolutely blowing out all the highlights. Now it looks a lot better. I don't look like a snowman anymore. That's much more what we expect to see from that camera. So now we'll go through them one at a time, starting at the lowest, the Microsoft Live Cam, the lowest price that is. This is a camera, again, you can pick up for a $5 refurbished on CEX, and it released like 1 billion years ago. But for a $5, you could get away with it. It looks very, very much like a built-in laptop web camera. It's very soft as it's 720p. I have applied some sharpening to it as well. But this is what that sort of £5 can get you. Let's move up then. The next expensive camera is the Streamplify cam. So we'll head over to that one. Excuse the different angles, and the audio may be out of sync. Trying to sync the audio track to 5 different cameras is a nightmare. But the angles are different because I've got them spread out across the tops of my monitors. So the Streamplify cam doesn't look bad for it. This is a 50 quid web camera. You can definitely see more greys in my hair now, and there's a lot more detail in my attempt at a beard. Yeah, the background, there is a lot of noise in the darker areas of the background, so it's not handling the lack of light, especially down here sort of area, very well. So let's keep going up. The next one we're going to look at, we'll look at the phone next, because although phones cost a lot of money, everyone's already got one, so the cost is only really the app. So let's go to Droid Cam. So this one disappointed me a lot. This is my Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra running Droid Cam X at full HD. Obviously the phone cameras are much more capable than just full HD. They can go, I think they can record up to 8K on the S24 Ultra, but this image is very over sharpened using this app. I've got it connected with a cable to my computer. You can see the sharpening. It almost looks like a fake image. I don't like this camera at all. So Epoch Cam does work. When I've used it in the past on my iPhone that I used to have, it works much better than this. So please, Elgato, bring Epoch Cam back to Android. But let's move on. Now let's look at the Facecam Pro. So this is the Facecam Pro. Now that's more like it. We're starting to see it's sharp enough. It's not over sharpened. There's a lot of detail. We've got a slight bit of background blur behind me. It's handling the lighting quite well. Now I've dialed in the exposure settings a little bit better. There's no spots that are really blown out too bad. It's getting a little bit touchy on my forehead. But overall, this camera is one of the best looking webcams that I've ever used. It is a very, very, very good piece of kit, but it's £300 and it's a webcam, and it's supposed to be approaching the realms of DSLR-like performance. So let's jump onto the Sony ZV-1 and see how that compares. So this is the ZV-1, a compact vlogging style camera, the camera that I've used to create most of my Kit Guru content for the first year at least when I was creating stuff for Kit Guru. And this is the camera I use when you see me do any green screeny type bits or any bits where I'm sitting at my desk like this in my reviews. It's a great camera, but then again, it is double the price of the Facecam Pro. And then I'm just going to flick to the Facecam Pro. It's not, there is a difference, but is there double the difference? Is it worth paying twice as much? Obviously, you're getting the functionality that the ZV-1 is a camera that you can use for other things as well as just sitting on top of your monitors as a webcam. But if you're going to use it as a webcam, I think the Facecam Pro stands up next to it. The focus is on auto on the Facecam Pro, and it will focus in and out, but it does hunt a little bit. Whereas you look at stuff like the ZV-1, there it is. The focus is much quicker. That's the Sony autofocus. That's why people like Sony cameras. One of the reasons why people like Sony cameras. The autofocus is very, very quick. So I think we'll switch back to all of them. I think the cameras stacked up and they look as good as they cost, aside from the Droid Cam. The Droid Cam disappointed me. The Microsoft Live Cam, you can pick them up for $5 and you'd get away with it for meetings. And then moving up to the Streamify Cam, you can see the benefits of going up to full HD. It's much more detailed, much more sharp. Then the Elgato Facecam Pro, you've got the 4K, the wide field of view. It's definitely the best webcam that I've tested today. But then moving up to the ZV-1, it just looks more professional, and it just, the depth of field behind me just adds more character to the scene, and it just looks nicer. Whereas there is a slight depth of field with a Facecam Pro, but it doesn't look as nice as the ZV-1 in my opinion. So there was the comparison of the 5 different cameras that I'm testing today. Let's move on, and I'm going to give you my conclusion, my final thoughts, and what I really feel about the Elgato Facecam Pro. So there we have it then. That was the Facecam Pro in all of its glory, pitched against 4 different cameras with 4 pretty dramatically different price tags. I've got no doubt in my mind that this is one of, if not the best webcam that you can spend your hard-earned pennies on. But is it overkill for most people? Probably. As I said at the start of the video, it's aimed at a very specific target audience, content creators, which is no surprise, to be honest. It's an Elgato product after all. It's capable of producing sharp, detailed images and capturing a pretty large area thanks to its generous field of view. The ability to switch between auto and manual focus is a big plus over the original Elgato Facecam, as is the bump up to 4K resolution. The results from the comparison were roughly what I'd expect to see, and I definitely feel that the phone would have performed better if Epoch Cam was available on Android. The rest of the cameras sat in pretty much the right order. The Facecam Pro was definitely the best out of the webcams, and it only lost out to the much more expensive Sony ZV-1. At the end of the day, if you're looking for close to the best quality you can get out of a webcam, then get the Facecam Pro. If you want to take it further, get a full-on camera and use that. If you're just looking for something for meetings and want an upgrade over your laptop camera, then any decent 1080p webcam will do the trick. And that's the end of the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave me a like down below if you did. Don't forget to subscribe to Kit Guru to keep up with the latest PC gaming news and reviews, and go down to the video's description to find links to our Discord server, our website, and our Patreon page. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go. My voice is about to go. This has been the Facecam Pro from Elgato. I've been Matt. Look after yourselves. See you later.